For people with disabilities, the digital divide predates the pandemic. But when COVID-19 catapulted society into remote life, the gap became even more severe for people with visual impairments. So, hey, Triana, how has the pandemic really highlighted the conversation around accessibility?
So when we think of the digital divide, we usually look at race and class and affordability of technology and Wi-Fi. But what we're now looking at is, can people actually see what is on the screen in front of them? Are the websites and apps themselves accessible? So when you're signing up for a COVID test or a vaccine, is that accessible? And what we found was it wasn't, at least in the beginning. And so that's really what we're looking at here, is the push to make more of these spaces accessible.
Talk to us about some of the people who are really sort of leading the space.
Right. So there's something, an app called Blind Square, which really, think of a Google Maps, right? It allows people with visual impairments to really access the community and the streets around them. Be My Eyes is an app that connects people with disabilities with volunteers and community representatives who will stay on a live video call and help them turn on the stove or change the thermostat. And then looking at, the big tech giants, Apple, Microsoft, Google, a new Apple update actually can detect if someone in a group call is using sign language and can make them prominent. Google has a Braille keyboard. Microsoft has put some tactile nubs, so allowing people to feel around and better be able to open packaging and such with their Xbox, for some examples.
And so then what are advocates sort of pushing for, sort of given where we're at right now in terms of infrastructure and the funding that could go to making things more accessible?
This outlook that accessibility will increase and benefit access to all actually comes in the form of something called universal design, which is a way of designing our buildings. Remember, buildings are infrastructure too, and really looking at ways to make the buildings themselves accessible to all. So looking at, for example, an elevator knob, right? Instead of having it up here, where most people their arm's length is, moving it down at the bottom. And doing so, architects and advocates are finding, is actually cost effective.
Hey, thanks for watching Bloomberg Quicktake Now. Subscribe to our channel to see the biggest stories the moment they happen from around the world. And tune in to our 24/7 live stream for global news coverage, documentaries, interviews, deep dives, and shows on the stories that you care most about.